There are doors in life that we cannot see, not doors made of wood or glass, but doors of grace, of healing, of divine favor. And many walk through life wondering why peace won't come, why joy won't last, why their soul feels dry. The truth is painful but holy. Some doors from heaven are closed because we never knocked. Padre Pio, a man who bore the wounds of Christ on his flesh, who spent his life in prayer, penance, and spiritual battle, warned us not with shouts, but with silence, not with demands, but with a pierced heart. And what did he say? Pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry is useless. Our merciful Lord will listen to your prayer, yet many pray only when they are desperate. They hope only when things seem manageable, and they worry endlessly. But Padre Pio was not offering a cliché. He was offering the key to heaven's door. There are 3 simple acts he lived by, 3 sacred habits that keep the soul in the presence of God and allow divine help to flow. When we neglect them, we don't just delay blessings, we reject them. The first act is this: to pray not only with words, but with the heart. He once said, "You must speak to Jesus, not only with your lips, but with your heart." In fact, on certain occasions, you should speak to him only with your heart. God is not moved by polished phrases. He is moved by the broken voice that still tries, by the soul that in the dark night whispers instead of runs. When prayer becomes performance, we risk losing intimacy. But when prayer is surrender, even silent, it becomes fire. Because silence is not the absence of words. It is the language of love spoken between creator and soul. And in this world of noise, of constant notifications, headlines, and distractions, silence becomes a rebellion, a holy protest, a sanctuary. The second act: to embrace suffering instead of resisting it. Padre Pio didn't glorify pain for pain's sake. He glorified Christ through it. He bore the stigmata, visible wounds of Christ, not to be admired, but to remind us that pain can be sacred, that suffering offered to God becomes redemption. He said, "The more you are afflicted, the more you ought to rejoice, because in the fire of tribulation the soul will become pure gold, worthy of being placed in the heavenly treasury." The world teaches us to escape pain. Padre Pio taught us to enter into it with Christ. And sometimes suffering is the only place God can truly meet us, because it is there, in the raw, the real, the undone, that masks fall, and our dependence is made visible. The third act: to obey in silence rather than question in pride. Padre Pio submitted himself even to church authorities that misunderstood him. He was silenced, hidden, but he never rebelled, never defended himself, never sought recognition. He said, "Where there is no obedience, there is no virtue. Where there is no virtue, there is no goodness. Where there is no goodness, there is no love. And where there is no love, God does not dwell." Obedience is not weakness. It is the gate through which God's strength flows. And when we skip it, when we choose our will over God's, the heavens may stay quiet, not in punishment, but in mercy, waiting for us to surrender. These are the 3 simple acts: prayer with the heart, suffering with Christ, and obedience with humility. They are not complicated, but they are costly because they require the death of ego and the birth of trust. Padre Pio did not live a comfortable life. He lived a crucified one, and yet his face glowed. His words pierced, his prayers moved heaven. Why? Because he stayed where most of us flee, at the foot of the cross. He prayed through agony. He obeyed through silence. He loved through pain. He opened doors most never see, and today his voice still whispers, "In the spiritual life, he who does not go forward goes backward. It happens as with a boat, which must always go ahead. If it stands still, it is lost. You may feel stuck, but you are not lost. You may feel tired, But grace is not tired of you. Return to those 3 acts. Not perfectly, but faithfully. Speak to Him from your heart. Offer your trials like incense. Bow and surrender, not understanding. And the doors, the ones heaven's been waiting to open, will swing wide. Not because you forced them, but because you knocked in faith. And if you forget again, if you fail again, remember, you are not being measured by perfection. You are being drawn back by love. Padre Pio said, "The devil is like a rabid dog tied to a chain. Beyond the length of the chain, he cannot seize anyone, and you keep your distance. If you get too close, you let yourself be caught." We let ourselves be caught not by claws, but by distraction, not by possession, but by spiritual laziness. That is why these 3 acts matter. They are not superstition. They are structure, a way of living that keeps your soul close to heaven's breath. Pray with the heart, not just during emergencies, but constantly. Offer your suffering, not just as complaint, but as communion. Obey not with blind passivity, but with radical trust. When these become your rhythm, the soul does not just survive. It begins to burn, and when the soul burns, it lights a path for others. That is what Padre Pio did. He lit a way and left a flame. Now it's in your hands. Hold it with trembling. Guard it with faith. And above all, never close the doors. Heaven died to open for you, but what if the flame goes out? What if prayer feels dry, suffering feels meaningless, and obedience feels like silence from God? Then remember, this dryness is not absence. Silence is not abandonment, and suffering is not separation. Padre Pio said, "It would be easier for the world to exist without the sun than without the Holy Mass." He believed in the power of unseen things, the Eucharist, the sighs of the soul, the angel beside your bed while you cry. If you have ever felt like no one saw your pain, remember, heaven watches what the world ignores. He said, "Do not fear. Jesus is more powerful than all hell." So why do we tremble? Because we've forgotten who is with us in the fire. Return to prayer. Even if your lips tremble, return to trust. Even if your mind races, return to Him, because He never left you. Sometimes the strongest prayers are the ones prayed through gritted teeth. Sometimes the most obedient souls are the ones that scream internally, but still say, "Fiat." And sometimes the most sacred help comes not with lightning, but with stillness. So let this be your stillness, your turning point, your decision to open the door again. Because Padre Pio is not just a saint of the past. He is a voice for the present. And he's still whispering, "Don't stop. Knock again. Pray again. Offer again. Obey again. Until the heavens open and the door's no longer a mystery, but a passage, a homecoming, a flood of grace you never imagined, waiting just behind your surrender. And even when the world shouts, your soul can whisper. Even when you're surrounded by darkness, the cross still glows. Even when no one understands your obedience, echoes louder than applause. Because grace does not need an audience. It just needs your yes. So say it again and again, until that door doesn't just open. It stays open because you stayed faithful. Thank you for walking with us on this journey through the profound and inspiring teachings of Saint Padre Pio. If you've stayed with us until the final words, I believe your heart is yearning for a deeper life of faith, a return to prayer, to silence, and to trust in God. Each quote from Padre Pio is not just a message from a saint, but a sacred echo, one that awakens a soul that may have wandered. And if today something within you has been stirred, don't let it pass you by. Hold on to that flame. Return to prayer. And if you wish to continue being spiritually nourished on this path, hit the subscribe button now. Is the best way to stay connected to weekly reflections, sacred truths, and powerful reminders that speak to your soul. May peace always dwell in your heart through the grace of God, and may Saint Padre Pio walk with you in every step of your faith journey.